My name is Preston. The subject here is, what I want to know is, where are you, mommy? And that's also the title of this video. I want to know who my mother is. I want to know her name, first name, last name, birthday. I want to know anything. I also have a brother that's older than me by 1 year. So once again, where are you, mommy? It's a good possibility you could be watching this, and I want you to know that I love you. If what I know is love is love. Okay. First of all, once again, my name is Preston Jones. That's the name that my adopted parents gave me. But my birth name that my mother gave me was Rodney Snell. And I want you to remember that name, Rodney Snell. Because if you know any other Snells, I want you to go forward and go on to the website, jonespreston503@gmail.com, and shout at me, please. This video is about me begging and asking for help. This is something that I need because I'm torn up inside over this. Now, once again, I was born in Mount Vernon Hospital, which is Westchester County, New York. I was raised in Greenburgh, New York. I went to Woodlands High School. I graduated in the year 1980. My parents gave me a wonderful life, and I thank them for the life that they gave me because I wouldn't be here without them. My father's name was Theodore Roosevelt Jones. He passed away in 1995 of heart disease. My mother, Mildred Elizabeth Jones, passed away in 2011. Her anniversary would be January 27th, 2011. And matter of fact, this is a picture of her when she was younger. And you got to excuse me because I'm a little nervous. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting here now. They gave me a wonderful life. This is also a picture of her. This is also a picture of her. So I'm kind of shouting out to her on her anniversary, which is coming on the 27th. And most of all, of course, I thank my Creator, Jehovah God, for allowing me to even have the life and the privilege of being here and have the breath of life today. Now, once again, as I said, I was adopted, and I had a good life. At the age of 5, I discovered in my basement, my mother told me that if anything should happen to her in life, that there was a box. And in that box would be important papers for me. And I should take those papers and continue my life with the information there. And there was a bunch of money and paperwork. As a child, I was very curious. And I looked into that box. That was 48 years ago. That's why I was age 5. This is the actual box right here. I'm going to turn around where my papers were in. I can still smell the house. I can still smell my mother in this box here. I can smell the scents of my parents. This was the actual box that my birth certificate was in 48 years ago. So when I did see this piece of paper in here, I wondered, I said, who is this person born on October 10th? Who is Rodney Snell? So I went to my mother and I asked her. I said, Mom, who is Rodney Snell? Whose birthday is this? And she said, son, this is you. This is you. And I said, Mom, I'm not your son? And she said, you are my son. And as I looked at her, the tears were built up in her eyes. It was like a flood of tears and emotions. And at that moment, I looked at her and she said, you know what, Preston? I would go to the end of the earth before I would give you up. I would die before I would give you up. At that moment, I knew that what I had to do was to cut myself off from the rest of the world and to lose my identity in order to keep my mother happy, because I would hurt her by asking her any more questions about who I was. So from that age at 5, I kept it to myself exactly who I was. But at times, I would look into, back then we had yellow pages, telephone books. I would look into the telephone book and I would see different names, Snell, 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 Snell. And I would wonder, who is Snell? Who would be related to me? Thousands and thousands of names. I would do this almost every day for time and time and time again. I would do this. I knew not to go past, like I said, my mother, I knew not to go past that point of emotions. And back then we respected our parents in a way that once our parents said something, you let it be as it is. So for that period of time, I had to lose my identity. But I vowed that I would find out who I am. So since that period of time, from 5 years old, I've been lost within myself. I couldn't get the opportunity to find who I was. But I did continue my search through the years out. But like I said, before I would die on this earth, I would want to know who I am. Later on, I'm kind of hopping around and everything, but this is the way my story has been. I did always wonder who my mother was, what she looked like, and I continued my search secretly for years and years and years. I moved down here in Virginia Beach, where I am now, in the year 2004, where my search kept continuing, and I asked for my original birth certificate. Only thing I knew, once again, was that my name was Rodney Snell. I searched through the courts. All these here are files of what I searched for my adoption records. I did find out in 2004 that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And so it made it even harder for me, because every time I go to a doctor, they ask me for my medical history. So for me not knowing my medical history or my diagnosis, it makes it harder for me to be properly diagnosed as regards to what my disease really is, because I don't have a family history, because I was adopted. I feel that the court system not allowing me to know who my mother is, not to know who her name is, her birthday is, last name is, and later on we'll find in this conversation also that I have a brother that's older than me. I feel that there's a problem with that I can't even know the correct spelling of my name. There's a problem with that, because the courts won't even let me know that. Like I said, my case is currently in the Surrogate Court of Westchester County of New York, Martin Luther King Boulevard. The judge that's presiding over my case is the Honorable Anthony Scarpino, Jr. The clerk is Miss Josephine Cervini. There's many other people that played a part in me trying to find my adoption papers. But what happened here is, this first paper here is when I signed up to try to petition the court to find out who my mother and my father was. I had my neurologist write a letter to the courts, and it quotes, "To whom it may concern, Mr. Jones is currently under my care for treatment for multiple sclerosis. It is my understanding that this patient history is unknown at this time. It would be beneficial for the patient to access his family history. If there's any other questions, feel free to contact my office." And that's the paperwork here, so you see that it's not bogus. So I submitted this to the courts, asking for a petition, so I can learn who I was, what my name was, any information. The courts gave me back information, a decision order on that petition, and told me that the information that I sent them was not good enough, that is not good enough on medical backgrounds, which is in this document here. Is the document number 2, which the petition was denied. That was my second petition that was denied, that the courts told me that my doctor said it would be beneficial for me, and it was not a medical necessity for me to open up my sealed papers. I forgot to tell you, in 1962, all adoptions in the state of New York were sealed. And so that's what I've been fighting, to make the story short. Like I said, I'm hopping around. So they told me, the Circuit Court of New York told me that I had to get a doctor that was New York State certified, that gave me medical reasons, that I had to have an MRI and some other things done. So from Virginia Beach, I traveled to New York the first time, which kind of exhausted my funds the first time. I got medical reasoning that stated that I need to know my medical background, my siblings, my genealogical background, in order, my mother, what her physical health was about, so that I would be able to be treated properly. This got turned down and denied, that file there. So they wrote me back, and as they say on this file here, that the medical reasoning was not good, but I can read, Mr. Jones, you can renew your application at any time. The decision means that the doctor did not specify the information required to address a serious medical condition. You may wish to submit a more specific affirmation from a physician license to practice in New York. It's right there in the yellow. That was the note back to me. And this is from the court of the Honorable Anthony Scarpino. So that meant I had to go back to New York for a second time. At that time, I went to a Dr. Stimman, which was in New Rochelle, New York. He wrote me a letter after getting examined once again, that we feel it would be extremely helpful for the petitioner to know his biological background, family, mother, brothers, siblings, etc. That was submitted to the court. At that time, I was denied again. Later on, I petitioned the court one more time, and at that time, I got a decision and order from Mr. Scarpino, and that granted me to open up my petition under the medical grounds that I have MS, and that it was extremely imperative that I would know my medical background so in order to be able to be treated right. To know whether I do have MS or do I have another disease. So at that time, they appointed myself a ad lib, I believe it's called an ad lib, which is a person that goes between, is that the right pronunciation? So an ad lib, where it's a person that's like the guardian angel that goes in between you and your mother, or you and the courts. They are able to unseal your records, and they can look at your records themselves. They can look at their record, my adoption seal record, and get the information to go to my mother and say, oh, your son wants to know you, or this is your medical background, or what have you. See, Miss Evelyn, this was from Hastings, New York. What she did is she spent 8.5 hours on my entire life, supposed to be searching for my mother. And that ran into thousands of dollars. That course ran into thousands of dollars, of course. And first, she told me that my records of my mother showed that my mother was an immigrant, a Mexican immigrant, which I knew at that time that was false information, because according to the Department of Health, New York Adoption and Medical Information Registry, which I summoned to give me a non-identifying information, it said that my mother it says my mother is a U.S. citizen. The only information that they did give me, and this wasn't from the court, this is from the New York State Department of Adoption and Medical Information Registry, was this information. It says on here, and you can see it says item, mother, and this gives the breakdown of my mother's nationality, USA, ethnic background not reported, so I don't know my ethnic background. It gives my mother's height, 5'3". She had me at the age 17, so she'll probably be about 69 or 70 years old, somewhere around there. Weight 100 pounds. Just the breakdown of my mother, Protestant, 10th grade, education. She was a factory worker. Then my father, of course, there wasn't too much information besides he was black, 6'0", largely built, and everything else about him. And then underneath the health history and birth mother says your mother's health was reported to be good. The pregnancy was normal and lasted 40 weeks. Weighed 7 pounds 4 ounces at birth, and there was no complications or anything there. The health history of my father, your father's health was reported to be good. It says facts and circumstances relating to the nature and cause of adoption. The adoption was handled by the Westchester County Department of Social Services, and they had been asked to share any identifying information. It also reported on this report that I had one brother sibling that was 1 year older than me. So I also know out there is a brother that I have a brother that's a year older than me. So now I have a brother that's a year older than me, and I have a mother. A mother that they didn't tell me no identity, that I know she's there. I know the court that is holding the papers to my mother, and they will not give me access to it. I have a lawyer that's supposed to be the go-between that spent for my life 8.5 hours. That's all the time she spent. I know my mother's out there. I want to know, where are you, Mommy? Where's my brother? She had 6 siblings, a son by a year older, and she had me. She let me go. I don't feel that I should be disconnected with my mother, that the law should be in such a way that I can't even hold my mother, to be able to hug my mother. That I can't, I don't see how somebody has the right to be able to hold back the love of my mother, for me not to be able to know her name, for me not to be able to know her birthday when that time comes, for not to even have a picture. I don't think that that's right for the Lord. I challenge you, Steve Harvey. You help everybody else to help me. I give you that challenge. I ask you people to forward the information to him, send him the video, even though it's broken. I challenge you, Dr. Phil, since you're psychologically there, to challenge this case, get to the bottom of this. I ask the Chief of Arms, President Obama. Like I said, I challenge those people to take my case. I ask that this message be forwarded to everyone. Flood the mail. What do you call the thing? When you click on to the Facebook, I forget what you call it. When you're clicking on to the Facebook, go viral. I'm not a computer person there. This is being set up for me. Go viral. Go viral with this. Give me help. I'm begging. I'm asking for help. I want to know what love is. Because of this situation of me not being able to be close to my mother, to even be able to hug my mother, there's always an air bubble in between anyone that I try to love. So now where I'm at right now is, if there's what they call a purgatory or a hell, you know what? I'm it. Look into my eyes. You can see the hurt. You can see the pain. This is the hell that I'm living inside of me, inside of my body. Every day I can feel my heart dripping inside. I can feel the blood dripping down in my own heart. This is bleeding from inside out. My skin is turned inside out where my nerves endings are inside out. Can't nothing with love get close to me right now because of this situation. So I'm hurting. I'm begging you for help. Anybody, especially in the New York area or New Jersey area, that can help, or is professional in this way, that's a lawyer, or anybody that can hone into the New York Times or to the Today Show, or any of those people, please give me help. A way that you can give me help is if you know anybody with that name, Snell, to get in contact with me. Once again, the Gmail address is jonespreston503@gmail.com. Or you can look on to Preston Jones on the Facebook. Only thing I'm asking is for you to give me the opportunity to be able to for me to hug my mother, to see my mother, to see her face, to see what I've imagined for all those years. So once again, please, I'm begging you for help. This is all I can do is beg you as the people to pass this on to get publicity. That's your donation to me. Once again, I'm connected with GoFundMe and jonespreston503@gmail.com. I also want to introduce you to people that's been in my life when I'm going through this craziness here. This is my wife, Lisa. She can say a few words. And this there is Vernon Marable, which I grew up with. It's the best friend there. I'm going to leave this a couple of seconds for you to talk to them.
Hello, my name is Lisa Jones, and I'm Preston's wife. And we would just really like to get this information out, definitely to stress the Snell name, and because Preston has aunts and uncles and first cousins, and we would like to be reunited or united with our family. Please do something. I have emailed Steve Harvey and sent him an email as well already. This has already been done on my part. Thank you so much.
This is Vernon Marable coming up from White Plains also.
My name is Vernon Marable, and I'm here to support Preston. Preston has always helped other people, and so now that I see him with all this on his mind, wanting to know his roots, where he comes from, to me it looks like his condition is getting worse. So please, if you're out there, anybody out there that can help, please help.
Once again, I thank you for your time. Please pass this on, forward it, make this viral. And once again, I challenge you, Steve Harvey, Dr. Phil, and President Obama, to take this on. Thank you so much for supporting me. You made my story come true and gave me a release for me just telling the world that I'm Rodney Snell. Thank you. Help me find my mommy. Where are you?